Welcome back to the Sports Talk ATL podcast. I'm joined again by Jake Gordon and Alex Lord. I am Chase Irle at Sports Talk ATL on Twitter. Guys, it was a terrible weekend, a terrible Sunday. I was really looking forward to Sunday, coming off a win, chance to go for first place. I guess everyone else in the NFC South lost except for the Panthers, who I'm not really worried about. So not any ground loss in the division. But we got blown out by the Bengals. I guess I could kind of see it coming, because no team goes 7-0 against the spread. You're going on the road against a Bengals team that seems to be finding their footing. Joe Burrow did whatever he wanted. I think we now know what the biggest hole on this team is, and it's the pass defense. They're 32nd now in the league in pass defense. They gave almost 500 yards. And if Joe Burrow wanted to get 600-700 yards, they probably could have. They just didn't need to because they're up by 3 scores. I think if you're talking about what else is a problem, the Falcons can't pass the ball. That is becoming overwhelmingly evident. If they get down in a game, they don't trust Marcus Mariota. Even down 3 scores, they were still running the ball. It was just an ugly game. But what are your thoughts on that game against the Bengals? What are you looking forward to? What do you guys got?
I think there was one point when the Falcons only had 3 corners active that were healthy, and I think 2 of them were on the practice squad last week. So, against Tyler Boyd, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins, that's not going to go too well. So, yeah, I wouldn't say I was like livid, just furious after the loss. It was kind of just like, yeah, well, this team was in the Super Bowl last year. The Falcons have been much better this year, but it was still, they still got a long way to go. Ahead of schedule, but still a long way to go.
The good news is it's only 1 loss. It was the only game this year the Falcons weren't competitive in. And they were, just overmatched. I said it last week. Y'all somehow thought, maybe Jake didn't say it, but Chase said that we were going to win that game. And I just think you probably didn't see the injuries at that point, because there was no way, we knew Casey Hayward wasn't going to be there. And that was enough for me to just think that the Bengals, the trio that you just named, Jake, were going to run all over us. And it was evident. And Joe Burrow almost putting up 500 yards on us. But again, it's 1 week. The next run of games we have are very favorable. It's not the end of the season. They can still win the division, and they can still get into the postseason. It's a rebuilding team, and we're ahead of schedule. Just like you said, Jake, I think, it sucks getting your shit kicked in like that. But, again, it's just 1 game.
Well, the NFC, yeah, and it's not like the Falcons, they're not a team that's built to come back from a 3-score game. If they can't control the game with a run and play good defense, Marcus Mariota is not going to lead some comeback just slinging the ball all over the place. And they didn't even try. They didn't even bother to try.
Well, yeah, that's discouraging. But what was kind of encouraging is even still, we were totally outmatched. We were playing with practice squad corners. We couldn't really throw the ball at all. We were basically still running the ball, even though we were down 3 scores. But unlike last year, we didn't go out there and lose 43-3. Last year, I feel like this team goes out there and lose 43-3 in that moment. They actually kept it somewhat competitive. The end of the half was really good. That throw to Damiere Byrd was a dime from Marcus Mariota. It makes you wonder, hey, why aren't we doing a little bit more of that? I know it doesn't have to be every play, but when you're down 3 scores, come on, let's just open up the playbook and see what we can do. It is kind of weird that they never did it to me. that's a huge red flag. I don't think they're going to turn away from Marcus Mariota because, like you said, the NFC South, the NFC in general is just an absolute shit show. I think you just got shown up. I think we just got shown the difference between the NFC and the AFC last week, because the Bengals are 3-3 coming into that game. They didn't look fantastic, but the NFC, they could make anyone look good. I was joking about it yesterday, but it's it could be Bears Falcons in the NFC Championship. It's such a just shit. Everyone sucks. The Commanders, the Packers, the whole NFC West that was supposed to be this great division. The Seahawks might be the best team in the West. They really might be.
They're in first.
It's just the NFC East. Are the Giants really 6-1? Come on, guys. They're a good story, but anyone really think the Giants are some powerhouse? I think right now the Eagles have shown they're the class, but even them, they have flaws. I think really you just got shown the difference between the NFC and the AFC. And the Bengals also look like a team that's ready to go on a little run. They started off a little slow, maybe had a little Super Bowl hangover. That happens a lot, but they look like a team ready to go on a run. Joe Burrow looked about as good as you possibly could. I don't care who the fuck's out there. He was throwing dimes everywhere. Jamar Chase, we know, is a freak. Those offensive weapons. I was a little disappointed with the Falcons' game plan defensively. Like they only blitzed 2 times. And I know when you can't play man because you have shitty corners, that's one thing. But they just kind of just let Joe Burrow sit back there all day. The lack of pass rush against the Bengals offensive line was disappointing. I know we don't have a good defensive line, but I thought we might be able to get something going. That was a little disappointing. We blitzed twice all game. So I would have liked to see them. The coaches just mix something up. It kind of seemed like we were okay losing by 2 touchdowns, which is
I was
fine.
just about to say that. I think their goal at the end of the day was to not get embarrassed. On the scoreboard, to not get embarrassed.
It did kind of seem that.
That's okay. I don't know.
It's like on one hand I'm giving them credit because they didn't go get blown out 43-3. On the other hand, I'm like, but we honestly clearly didn't try to win the game. It seemed like there was no risk taking. It was like, we'll take a little. What was that drive in the fourth quarter? We're down 18. I think it's the first time we got the ball in the fourth quarter. We ran the ball like 8 times. We took like 8 minutes off the clock and moved the ball. Got like 3 first downs. It was like
you're playing to not get embarrassed.
Yeah,
but all of those runs weren't designed runs. Mariota did scramble for 2 or 3 times, and I get your point, but like they weren't just running the ball; they were trying to pass. They just couldn't pass. Like the offense just wasn't working. And you said it, Jake. It's not built for that, and that's not what it's going to be. Forever. Marcus Mariota is just, an anemic passer. I mean, that's what he is. He's a backup caliber quarterback, and there's nothing wrong with that. He's just, a stopgap guy. And that is what is like most frustrating, I think, for me is I was on the Marcus Mariota ride it out train, but I think there really is no big deal in seeing what you got in Desmond Ridder at this point, like especially with this kind of schedule that's coming up. I mean, I get trying to go for the playoffs and everything, and you're ahead of schedule and you rebuild and, all these good things. You're trying to instill a winning culture, competitiveness in every single game. But at a certain point, even Arthur Smith, I guess it's the practice thing. I'm talking myself out of it now. Maybe he just sucks in practice. Maybe that's the reason why he's just – if he was lighting it up in practice, don't you think we'd see him?
I think it's ridiculous, to be honest. Marcus Mariota clearly isn't the answer. And maybe he can game manage you to some wins, but what are we really trying to do here? There's one thing to instilling a culture and trying to win football games, but can you really be that much worse than Marcus Mariota? I don't know. Unless if he turns the ball over like 3 or 4 times, yeah. But Marcus Mariota hasn't been great at taking care of the ball either. And you got to see what you have. And to be honest, if we do lose a few games, like, trust me, I've said it a million times on here, like, I'm never going to cheer for the Falcons to lose. I don't want us to tank. Like, I want to win games. I want to try to make the playoffs because it makes it more fun. Like, if we're in the fucking divisional round or wild card round or whatever, like, I'm going to be going nuts in the playoff game saying we're going to win because, like, that's what being a fan's all about. Like, you always have hope in this league as long as you're in it because there's so much parity and anybody can lose on any given Sunday. But at the same time, like, we got to see what we have here. And if you end up losing, like, we have a top 10 draft pick with a tremendous quarterback crop of quarterbacks coming in from college. It's just like, what are we doing here? Because like you're basically telling me Desmond Ridder is useless. That's like he has to be just dog shit. Because what am I watching here? Marcus Mariota is not the answer. You don't trust him to do anything except run the ball. And hell, like if that's the playbook, if that's what we're running, Ridder can run too. Like it's not like it just doesn't make any sense to me. So he has to be awful in practice. It has to be like Jordan Love level bad. Like it just must be, he sucks. Like because it doesn't make any sense because Marcus Mariota ain't the guy.
I was about to say that like this is eerily similar of the Jordan Love situation where the Packers, now they're trying to be like, well, he's good. We might trade him or, he's still the future. And it feels like the same thing's going on with the Falcons. And they're like, damn, this guy sucks. Like this guy is not it. This is not who we thought he was going to be. And obviously we're only 6 games into his career. He could develop into something more. You never know. But without real game experience, you'll never know. You'll never know if he's a guy or not. And he looked decent in the preseason. He really did.
He looked good. He looked as good as Marcus Mariota. And yeah,
it's a lot. It's very vanilla. The preseason is the preseason. Nobody's taking that to the bank and being like he's the guy. He looked good in preseason. But that's the only game action we've seen him in. and we can't see him at practice. So that's all we have to go off of. And he looked decent, and, if you have an actual game plan, look, Arthur Smith is protecting Marcus Mariota to a certain extent where it's like, you could protect Desmond Ridder like that with running the ball, short passes, exactly. Rolling him out a ton. So if he does get in trouble, he can run or throw it away very easily. Like, you could protect the rookie just as easily as you could protect Marcus Mariota in that breath.
Here's one of my bigger problems is that, okay, you don't want to you don't want to try to lose games, but you know what you're wasting here? Your last 2 first-round draft picks. Like your 2 top 10 draft picks, you're just wasting away their rookie contract in the rookie years. And you're just like, you're not seeing what you have in them either. So by holding everyone back, you're holding those 2 guys back. And maybe in practice, they just know they're the guys and they don't need to see them catching all these balls. But we drafted Kyle Pitts 4th overall and you're legitimately not using him. We drafted Drake London 8th overall, and you're not using him. So, if you were going to build around this shit, why don't we draft offensive and defensive linemen? Why don't we go after those guys? Why do we draft pass catchers in the last 2 first rounds only for us to sit here and just run the ball every damn play? And I get you don't have a quarterback to accentuate their strengths, but still, it does. The philosophy here when you draft those 2 guys doesn't make a lot of sense to me, and you're kind of wasting them. I mean, you are. They're doing nothing. I mean, Kyle Pitts has 170 passing yards. You dropped him 4th overall. He has 1 touchdown on American soil in the last 2 years. That's looking like a god-awful draft pick. And we all say, oh, Kyle Pitts is a stud. He's an athletic freak. And they say all these things in practice. I ain't seeing it on Sunday. I ain't seeing shit on Sunday. So it looks stupid, especially when you look at guys like Surtain and Micah Parsons and guys like that are absolutely balling the hell on the other side of the ball that you passed up for this 4th overall pick, for this generational talent of a tight end that you apparently don't know how to use. That's bad. That's a bad look. And I give a lot of credit to what this regime's done, getting rid of Julio, getting rid of Matt Ryan. I like a lot of their draft picks. I think Kyle Pitts is really good, but we all think he's a special talent, but we're not seeing anything on Sunday. And by keeping Marcus Mariota in there, it all doesn't make sense to me at a certain point.
The worst part about this is Mariota is signed next year too, and we can all write it off as, they're going to move on to Desmond Ridder next year if he doesn't play at all this year.
But it's not guaranteed, is it? I don't think it's guaranteed. I think it's mostly. I think
no. Most of it is, even this year was mostly not guaranteed, but still, he's under contract. And that's not to say the Falcons can't move off of it. They can very easily, I believe, with little to no dead cap. But my point is basically we could be doing this same song and dance next season or going into the offseason where, is Desmond Ridder actually going to be able to beat Mariota out? I know I'm thinking far in advance, but, that's to your point that Kyle Pitts and Drake London, I mean, eventually – Kyle Pitts he's in the 2nd year of his deal. Next year, if Mariota is still under center, that's the 3rd year of his deal. He'll only have 2 more years of affordability before we'll have to give him a new contract. And then at that point, what the hell are we doing?
Maybe they're just tanking his value. They're just you're shit, Pitts.
They're turning him into a tight end instead of paying him like a wide receiver. They're going to turn him into a tight end.
It's the Jimmy Graham thing all over again.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it really is. It's just weird. It's just weird. And I just think in general, and I know it's a whole new regime, but why are they obsessed with building around wide receivers and pass catchers? Could we not just be a normal team and just drafted some big ugly dudes? If we had gotten Micah Parsons and Jordan Davis in the first 2 rounds, we all of a sudden your defense actually looks legit. Or if you got Surtain across from AJ Terrell and Jordan Davis, There were some things that out there. If you're not going to throw the ball, or if you don't know who your quarterback is, I mean, and I get we had Matt Ryan when we drafted Kyle Pitts, but I'm just saying, it gets to be maybe those weren't the best decisions. And eventually, can we see at least Desmond Ridder throw the ball around the yard? Even if we do lose, shit, man, come on.
It is wild that we're so successful running the ball. Offensive lines turned it around, and the offensive line is not very good. On paper, it's not very good. They're executing well, and that's all good and fine. But the only 2 guys on there that are worth a damn are Chris Lindstrom and Jake Matthews. Elijah Wilkinson has been a breath of fresh air over Jalen Mayfield.
McGarry's been good this year, though.
McGarry's still suspect in pass protection. We've just been running the fuck out of the ball, so he looks decent. He is a good run blocker, but you're not going to give him a multi-year deal. Maybe a 1-year deal after this.
I could see it. It depends how much he costs.
Hell no. Nobody should be tied to Caleb McGarry for more than 1 year.
We'll see. We'll see how that goes. Let's look ahead to this week. We get the Panthers coming in, 6.5-point favorites. First time we've been a favorite all year. That scares me. I'll straight up say it. I don't think it scares me from a losing perspective, but it scares me from a betting perspective. Should the Falcons really be favored by 7 points over anyone? Even the Panthers, and PJ Walker. They just kicked the shit out of the Bucs.
Yeah, I know, and I think this is a big. If you're losing, you turn to Desmond Ridder, but I've said that almost every week. So.
If they lose to the Panthers at home and don't turn to Marcus Mariota, we're going to have some questions. There's going to be a lot more yelling on this podcast about it than just suggesting it.
I promise to scream at you on the podcast this week, but I'm not doing it. I don't have the energy.
Why? Because my LSU Tigers kicked the shit out of Ole Miss.
Well, okay, so I just said Ole Miss was good, and a bunch of these people were like, update. Okay, good and undefeated aren't the same thing. They're still good. They're still a top 15 team, and I think they're second in the SEC. I think they're still ahead of Alabama.
Jace, how about Jaden Daniels, though? Jaden Daniels got a little Jalen Hurts in him. He's nice with it, bro. He's nice with it.
I hope you guys make the SEC championship because I want to absolutely.
I hope we do too. I'm going to Alabama I'm going to Baton Rouge in 2 weeks for that game. Sorry we had to take the night game from you, buddy. It was always meant to be.
I'm still extremely upset about it.
It was always meant to be, man. You gotta
any other year besides this year, it would be the 3:30 game.
I just hate how they can't just run them both. Why can't both? I guess I get it.
They wasted their one primetime game on A&M in Alabama. Are you fucking serious?
Which I'm kind of glad about because that would have been, you know what that would have meant? That would have been LSU Alabama at 11 o'clock, and I would have fucking been punching air. I would have been furious. I already had to do that once, and dude, it's just not the same. People want to hype up Tiger Stadium, and I do agree. Obviously, I'm biased, but I think at night it is the best environment in college football, bar none. I really do. But during the day, it is not the same. I will straight up say it. There are places that I've been during the day, let's say Clemson, for instance. Clemson during the day at 12 o'clock is as loud as it is at night. Auburn at 12 o'clock, as loud as it is at night. LSU at 12 o'clock, not the same. The people are not drunk enough. It's not loud.
I was about to say, but they're just used to, 80% of LSU games are at night for the most part. I'm not saying there aren't excuses. I'm just saying it's not the same. Georgia never plays night games. Georgia plays night games a couple times a year.
They haven't had one all year.
We haven't had a single one. We're not going to get a single one. The thing that really pisses me off,
they're going to become the first national champion to never have a night game, which I feel bad for you.
That's bullshit. Yeah.
The thing is
part of it's your schedule though. This is your only good game all year.
Okay, well, blame Auburn for not being good.
Well, I'm not I'm just saying this is.
Even Oregon was.
Yeah, Oregon's about to say
it wasn't a home game, but
that win is getting more impressive by the week.
By halftime at that one,
that season opener is getting more impressive by the week. Oregon's good. Oregon's decent.
But still, my main gripe.
I don't believe anyone.
So it's going to be the Tennessee game. It's a 3:30 game. I'm going to have to get there at 2 o'clock to get a seat. So that leaves me realistically 3 hours.
You sit in the student section?
Yeah, right below the scoreboard.
They don't have a graduate program, a graduate student section.
I think it's all the same. I think
it definitely is. I'm just
they have they have the end zone seats right under the scoreboard, and then they have that section behind the band where the spike squad is and stuff.
Oh.
Have you looked at that spread between Tennessee and Alabama or Tennessee?
It's 10.5.
I saw that. I saw something like that. I think
that actually makes me feel really good because the public is going to be
when we do our college football loss. But I think watch out for Kentucky against Tennessee this week.
I bet them.
God, that would suck so much.
I think Tennessee will win. I think Tennessee will win the game. I just think Tennessee's still a little overhyped. I don't think Bama's very good. I think the way LSU played was just had a lot to do with the scoreboard. beat themselves.
They suck.
Yeah,
Alabama is a 4-loss team without Bryce Young.
Yeah. So I just think, and like this is such a look ahead spot for Tennessee. I mean, there couldn't be a bigger look ahead spot. Like they haven't been in this position. Like Georgia's been in this position. They've done this, the last 5 years. And plus, Georgia fucking hates Florida. Like they're gonna go in there.
Kirby played at Georgia. He
hates Florida, and he knows how much this means to the fans. Like he wants to beat the shit out of them, and he's gonna have them focused for that game. Plus, they're coming off a bye. Tennessee not coming off a bye. A feisty Kentucky team. This is their Super Bowl. They've beaten some good teams already. I'm still not sold on Tennessee being a real top 4 team. So that's a tricky game, I think. And you got Georgia up next. That's a tricky game. All right, but let's get in this Falcons-Panthers game. We should beat the shit out of them.
We should beat the shit out of them, dude.
That's all I got.
Do not win this
XFL
game.
quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we got
PJ
P.J. Walker playing. I mean, P.J. Walker shreds our pass defense. Me and Dean Pease are going to have a conversation.
The thing is, our secondary, Jalen Hawkins is out. A.J. Terrell is at best case scenario is going to be on one leg. His hamstring.
I don't think he plays.
I don't think he plays either.
I think Alford plays, though.
We're down 3 starters in our secondary.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if they sign someone, or I feel like they have to. Like something.
We have the cap space. The thing is it's like, are you playing for right now? Are you playing for the future? Like, you want to win right now? Or are you going to go and trade for somebody? It doesn't make sense to use draft capital to, go and trade for somebody if they're not going to be here long term. Going and signing somebody off the street. There's not many great options on the street. I'm trying to think off the top of my head.
I'm not saying it has to be something great. I just think we're talking about y'all saw what happened last Sunday. Like, we all watched it. Like, they couldn't guard shit.
To be fair, it wasn't just, it wasn't Cornell Washington just, getting beat. It was the pass rush was not even, alive. It wasn't even there, so it's not like these guys in the secondary, it's not their fault, just their fault. It's the whole defense. The whole defense sucks. And honestly, that 49ers win looks a lot less impressive if the 49ers didn't have a dozen drops. I mean, we may have not even won that game if the 49ers wide receivers just decided to drop every single pass. I mean, the defense is not good. It's just come up with some timely stops. It's that bend, don't break, but all they did was break this past Sunday. So we'll see how it goes against the Panthers. The Panthers defense, on the flip side, they still got guys over there.
They're solid. Their defense
they got guys
on
a
solid little core. I mean, I think the Falcons are going to have to score. I definitely think they're going to give up points, even to P.J. Walker. I don't think it's going to be a ton, but I mean, this to me has the makings of just an ugly, ugly game. Just an ugly shit show of a game, like 20-17, 20-14, like some BS like that. That's why the 6.5 to me seems like that's a lot, because I just don't know. I don't know how much the Falcons are going to score. Like, I mean, we just saw the Bucs, and I don't think the Bucs offense is anemic, but they just scored 3 points. Like, how much better is the Falcons offense? I don't think it's significantly better, if at all. Maybe a little bit better right now. It's obviously different, but I mean, they could stop us for sure. I think it's going to be an ugly game. Everyone's writing them off. They kind of have this chip on their shoulder where, all our guys are missing, but they played hard against the Bucs. I mean, obviously they won 21-3. So
I think it's more of an indictment against the Bucs than it is we should really praise the Panthers. I think the Bucs are just lost.
For sure. But
Tom Brady.
You don't go and beat a team like the Bucs by 18 points and not get some praise for everything they've gone through. Like that was a big win.
I think it says a lot about coaching as well.
I just think it's the any given Sunday thing. It's not about who you play. It's about when you play them. The Bucs are reeling. The Panthers are just trying to pull themselves out of the gutter. On paper and, coaching wise, the Falcons should smash the Panthers. They really should. I think they should beat them by 2 scores. They're way better coached. And they definitely have a better game plan week to week, in my opinion, than the Panthers have. The Panthers suck. And the Panthers might have some guys, but Wilkes, I don't think he gets this done.
I saw 80% of the public bets on the Falcons.
Oh my
Anytime I see that, I'm just like, this is like
God. We could
we're
When they
favored by a
lost,
touchdown.
that was what I said when they lost. I was like, I'm willing to bet this is probably the first time the public has been on the Falcons since they like the whole 6-0 against the spread thing.
Yeah, this game just scares me because the only reason it scares me really is because it's one that we should win. You know, all the other games, they don't scare me because I'm like, we should lose. Like, whatever. We're playing the Niners, yeah, we should lose. We're playing the Bengals, yeah, we should lose. So it's like whatever. But this game, it's like, all right. Like these next 5 games, like I think we should be like favored or close to even spreads in all of them, and it'll be disappointing. Like it'll be disappointing if we go 2-3. Like we need to at least go 3-2, if not 4-1.
I mean, listen to these. We're going to have PJ Walker potentially twice versus Mariota, Justin Fields versus Mariota, Carson Wentz or Taylor Heineke versus Marcus Mariota, and then Kenny Pickett versus Marcus Mariota. These are terrible.
We're going to be watching some good football every Sunday, baby.
These are going to be
I'm still can't wait till we see the Bears and Falcons in the playoffs, like Justin Fields versus Mariota. I think it's hilarious. Let's get into some Hawks talk. Enough with the Falcons. First week over. Played 3 kind of crappy teams. 3 teams that were injured. They go 2-1. I wouldn't say they looked all that impressive. There were some good and bad. I think the good, Trae Young and DeJounte Murray are coming as advertised. That's going to be one of the best backcourts in the league. I think the biggest bad is their lack of shooting and depth on the bench. Now, Bogey will definitely help with that, but it's beginning to look stupider and stupider. And I've complained about this many times that I have no idea why we traded Kevin Huerter. It just makes no sense. Like he was one of our better defenders. He's one of our better shooters. He's one of our better bench pieces. And you look at this team, it's like, oh, what are we missing? Oh, some perimeter defense, shooting, and bench shit. Why the fuck did we trade this guy? Makes no sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Hawks really haven't played good at all. They just found a way to win the first 2 games. The third game they did not, which was probably the ugliest loss because the Hornets didn't have LaMelo. I don't think – did they have Book Knight? I was kind of in and out on that one.
They didn't have Terry Rozier either.
Yeah, I know Book Knight got a DUI. Book Knight got a DUI like a week ago. I don't know if he was playing or not. I was kind of in and out. But, yeah, I mean, they really haven't inspired that much this year. They played well individually, and they found ways to win, which is something they didn't do last year. And DeJounte Murray has been great. He's had a couple turnovers, but other than that, looked really good. The Hawks look better, but they still don't look great, I guess, if you want to put it that way.
The defense is still suspect. I mean, the point of attack defense is still suspect, which is crazy after you went and got these supposed defensive first guys in the brothers. I'm sorry, I'm blanking.
Aaron Holiday and Justin.
And the Holiday brothers. And the shooting, holy shit. I think as a team, we're shooting like 30% from 3. That is absolutely dog shit. That's dog shit. And I know Trae Young has been, he's a guy that you can rely on, to get out of this. He is shooting from 3 is terrible. And that is something that personally I thought was going to really help this Hawks team with him playing more off ball, him getting more spot up 3s. And he just hasn't, really connected on all that.
Yeah, but that's something.
And that's something it'll work its way out. I agree. But still, the 3-point shooting as a team, 30%. I mean, that's bottom 5 in the league. That's terrible. That will not get it done, especially with facilitators like DeJounte and Trae getting you guys open looks. I mean, you got to be hitting your shots. So yeah, I can't wait for Bogey to come back. I don't even know what the outlook is like. I mean,
I don't know. They haven't. They said he was gonna be ready for the start of the season. He hasn't even come back to practice yet. So it's not.
Dude,
it's not.
We need to move off of Bogey. I mean, his knees are Todd Gurley knees or something. I mean,
yeah, I don't know. I mean,
come on, man.
Bogey is such a critical piece to this team because when he's going, like the Hawks are legitimate contenders. But like he's been injured so much over the last couple years and shit like that. But I mean, I don't really know. We'll see. I mean, I know teams will be interested if we wanted to move off of him, but he's got to get healthy first. And then what's going to happen. He's going to get healthy, start balling, and then when the playoffs come around, he'll be injured, just like clockwork. He does it every year. It's disappointing because I love Bogey. He's probably one of my, outside of Trey, he might be my favorite player. I mean, DeJounte will grow on me, I'm sure, but I love Bogey because, like, the guy's an absolute sniper. Hopefully he can get healthy, but I just think the Kevin Huerter trade just looks stupider and stupider every day. Makes no sense. I think we got to see more of AJ Griffin. He came in and hit 2 shots against the Hornets in garbage time, but I don't know how with this crappy of shooting they don't, turn to AJ Griffin a little bit more in the second unit. I'm still hopeful that, I mean, maybe they can make an early season deal for like a Jay Crowder. Who knows? But this team definitely needs Bogey back and another shooter. Like they need more than just Bogey, in my opinion.
Yeah. Clint Capella also doesn't look great, but to that, he doesn't look great because he's got to be perfect on defense, dude. How did we get better defensively and still stay terrible? Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. Onyeka Okongwu looks really good. We all, all of us have said, breakout guy. This is the guy, X factor. If we're going to make a run, him. And he's looked really good. Hit a couple of jump shots like he promised he'd come back and do.
I think if you get Bogey and a couple shooters, this team has the makings of being very good. I really do. But they got to stay healthy, and you got to get more shooting. I don't know if I'll ever get over that Kevin Huerter trade, but at the same time, it's been 3 games. Like this team's still gelling offensively and defensively. They were able to scrap up 2 wins. They got the Pistons the next 2 games. Should win those games, but then again, I'm pretty sure we lost to the Pistons 3 times last year. So who the fuck knows? It's the NBA. They're both on the road too. But yeah, I mean, still way too early to make any conclusive judgments. But I think the 2 things that I can already tell you, one's going to be a problem and one is going to be really good. The really good is Trey and DeJounte are going to be nasty. The problem is bench and shooting. That's going to be a problem until they fix it, or at least get Bogey back, or maybe AJ Griffin gets into the mix. But their bench nobody on their bench can shoot. Like Justin Holiday, like the guy's shot under 40% last year and like 37% from 3. Like he's not a real shooter. Like if he's wide open, okay, but he's not like a shooter. Jalen Johnson can't shoot. Onyeka Okongwu can't shoot. Like it's just like these guys can't shoot, and we're in the NBA where everybody shoots. Like it's the way of the league now, and we decided to be like, oh, let's do away with all our shooters. That'll work. Like, well, it doesn't blow my mind. It blows my mind. Makes no sense. I'm just saying, guys, it makes no sense. But hey, hopefully we get these guys back. Hopefully we finish off this week strong. I mean, then we got the Bucks a couple times. It should be fun. We'll know more by then. But that wraps it up for this episode of the Sports Talk ATL podcast. We'll be back next week. Hopefully the Birds get a little